To the second stunning disclosure in the 1995 Purulia arms drop case. It's Peter Bleach, a British citizen who served a sentence for his role in the arms drop case, has spoken to Times Now. Bleach not only confirms that Indian politicians were involved, but also makes some very startling revelations about what exactly happened on the night of 18th of December.
Peter Bleach, thank you so much for talking to me here on Times Now.
It's a pleasure. Nice to be here.
First question is, why are you speaking out now?
Well, because after so many years, I thought this was all finished and done, and I wasn't happy about the outcome. But suddenly, out of the blue, India seems to want Niels Christian Nielsen or Kim Davey or Niels Holt, whatever his true name is. They seem to want him back in India. So all of a sudden, this has come back, and my life is disrupted yet again. It's high time the truth was told.
How will your life get disrupted if Kim Davey is extradited to India?
Well, good example. We're talking together now. Instead of me being at work, I'm talking to you on Skype about this. It's a thing that doesn't get left alone by the press. There's not a country in the world that hasn't printed my photograph with the label of terrorist underneath it. Now, I've never been a terrorist, but most people don't believe that. So the time has come to clear my name. It's not a funny label to have against you after the events of 9/11 and things like that.
What was your role in the Purulia arms dropping?
I was approached as a businessman. It's common knowledge that I was in the defence industry. I was approached to sell somebody some arms and ammunition. And when I discovered that this was an illegal deal, it was supporting a terrorist group in India, I immediately reported that to the British government. And I was interviewed by MI5, who passed all the information back to India. And I was told that the Indian government wanted the guns delivered into India so that they could arrest the people concerned and find out who the guns were for.
So you're saying that you told the local police, they informed MI5, which is the British intelligence agency. In other words, the British government knew about it. And yet you came along with this plane. And you're saying that this was some kind of a sting operation that you were trying to carry out. That you would come on the plane and help authorities catch these people red-handed. Now, that's a fairly long-winded explanation, Mr. Bleach.
Well, you may say so. I have to say that it was never part of the plan that I would have been on that aircraft. That was due to circumstances beyond anybody's control much later on. But I've got here a copy of all the notes taken by the MI5 officer and the special branch officer who visited me. And it contains the full details that they passed to India. So whether or not I ended up on the plane, that's one aspect. Of course, I wish I hadn't been, but I couldn't do anything about that. But that doesn't alter the fact that the Indian government had absolute, full and detailed knowledge of every part of this. And my understanding is, in fact, the Indian government actually supported this whole thing. It was an Indian government job.
No, if it was an Indian government job and the Indian government supported it, why would anyone in the Indian government allow the dropping of such a large cache of arms in Indian territory in such an illegal manner? What's the motive?
To understand that, you have to stop thinking about Indian territory. This wasn't dropped so much in Indian territory as in Bengali territory. The target here was the government of West Bengal. At the time, Jyoti Basu was the chief minister and the CPIM government was in power. The whole object, my understanding, was to destabilize the government of West Bengal so that president's rule could be declared in terms of the constitution, and the state could have been ruled directly from Delhi. That would have disposed of the CPIM government. And that was the entire purpose of the job, as I understand it now. I didn't understand that at the time. I have to
who's your source when you say this, that the entire purpose of all of this was to destabilize the Marxist government in West Bengal and you are suggesting that the central government then under PV Narasimha Rao was trying to do that. May I please ask you, in the interest of fairness, Mr. Bleach, who is your source? Is your source Kim Devi? Because Kim Devi sings a similar line now. But why should anyone believe Kim Devi? Who's your source when you say that?
There's two sources. One source is the actual evidence produced at the trial. For example, nobody can explain why the huge Indian Air Force defense radar at Kalikunda was switched off that night and that night only. Kim Devi knew in advance that that radar was going to be switched off on the night of the 17th of December. Kim Devi now admits quite openly, because he's very scared. He doesn't want to come to India. So finally, he's telling the truth. He now admits that he was hired by Indian politicians to do this job. And he also admits that he didn't escape from Mumbai or Bombay Airport when the plane stopped there. He was actually spirited away out of the country. And my understanding is he left the country in an Indian diplomatic car.
No, so